Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:06 on this first day of spring, first day of March Madness, and first day of the Cherry Blossom Festival. Coming up in 30 minutes, Diana MAYHEW, who's the executive director of the Cherry Blossom Festival, will be our guest. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Julie, our program director, Bill Hess, just came into the studio there, and he's like half listening to the show, which, by the way, explains how we stay on the air. He just half listens.
Exactly.
If he really listened all the time, well, we'd be so yanked off the air. And he's like, "Are you and Julie fighting with each other? Are you
Yes,
bickering?
we are.
You angry?" And I was like, "No, you know how women in the first trimester can be very edgy,
Terrible.
and very."
Stop.
So we're very excited about it. The new bundle of joy on the way there in the Gunlock
Stop,
house.
Larry. Take it back right now because people might not have been listening earlier. Larry thinks I'm pregnant. I just have a touch of the flu. I'm fine.
It's not morning sickness? Because all the other indications are there. All right. But just take it easy. You're
in so much trouble.
joining us right now is KT
thank God.
McFarland, former
Tell me out,
Deputy
KT.
National Security Advisor to President Trump. And why is it's not insulting to suggest that a woman might be expecting? It's a joyful thing.
KT, my God.
She's the author of Revolution.
Oh, God,
Good
know.
morning,
Just
KT.
stay.
Larry,
Yeah.
let me
Larry.
just tell you, unless a woman is 9 months pregnant and on her way to the hospital, you never say, "Are you pregnant?"
Well, I'm not basing it on physical appearance.
Thank you, Larry.
Well, every woman you say that to will think you are.
Oh, dear.
Can I tell you, one time I did this. KT, you would appreciate this. When I was, back before I was in radio, I did have a life before this, by the way. I look back on it fondly sometimes. I was a theater manager. I used to work at a Broadway theater. And I would sometimes, when it was a crowd, a rush, I would go help the ticket takers, and I would open up a door, and I would start taking tickets. And we were doing Beauty and the Beast, so there were lots of families, lots of children. It was very fun at a matinee. And so I tear tickets to this pregnant woman, and I say, "Here you go, enjoy the show." And then I said to her belly, her baby, and I said, "And I hope you enjoy the show too."
No.
And she just looked at me and she says, "Who are you talking to?" Apparently she was not
And you learned
expecting.
nothing. And you learned nothing from that experience. Excellent. Good work, Larry.
Well, you know who else? It's true. I learned nothing, but you know who did learn something, apparently, is Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, because we're getting the readout on this phone call yesterday that took an hour with President Trump. And apparently 58 minutes of that hour was Zelensky reiterating his gratitude to Donald Trump and the American people. It was really something to behold. But it does look like lessons have been learned. And KT, are we about to see peace in our time, if I can quote your former mentor, Henry Kissinger?
You know, when he said it, it was actually at the end of, and I was in the White House press room at that time, and it was at the end, what he thought was the end of the negotiations with the North Vietnamese. And it turns out that the North Vietnamese took that, and then they decided, okay, we've really got these guys cornered. We're going to now increase our bombing. So anyway, you never really want to say that because it's a temptation to the other side to then string out more from you in a negotiation. But if you look at the sort of parameters of that phone call with Putin that Trump had, not Zelensky, but with Putin, I was stunned by the level of conversation they had. So everybody assumes, it's all about Ukraine. It's all about Ukraine. They're going to talk about this province, that district. What are you going to do about this? But they really had a much bigger worldview. It reminded me of when Kissinger sat down with Zhou Enlai in the summer of 1971 to prepare for Nixon's visit in 1972. And the two men were the Chinese and Americans hadn't talked to each other for 25 years at all. And so the two men sat down and had this broad-ranging conversation about the world and where they saw their place in the world and what their ambitions were. And you remember, the United States now, we've not talked to the Russians for 3.5 years at all, any level. We don't even talk about passport stuff. And so Trump's phone call with Putin was the first conversation America had had with the Russians in a long time. Wow. And so what they talked about was the big worldview. We're going to be doing this in the Middle East. We're looking at this and that. And the one sentence that just nobody picked up on was the White House press release said, and both leaders agreed, that that Iran should never have the capability to destroy Israel. Now, whoa, to me that was alarm bells. I mean, good alarm bells, because that means that the Russians are going to help the Americans stop Iran's nuclear program. And in the greater scheme of things, whether Russia gets to keep one province in Ukraine or those, there's much less significance in that than there is in the Middle East, with the mullahs getting their hands on nukes and potentially sharing them with Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis and igniting a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. So for me, that's a win-win any way you look at it.
Katie, can I ask, was there any conversation about China? China has been doing these so-called joint combat readiness patrols, which are nothing more than intimidation and really, they're intimidating, but these are intruding into Taiwan's air defense zones. Was there any conversation of, how will Russia support China if in fact they invade Taiwan?
They're in the Trump-Putin conversation, none that anybody could detect. But
Okay.
the goal one of the many goals of President Trump is can you drive a wedge between China and Russia? Because remember, China and Russia ganged up together against us is an existential threat. I mean, to our very existence.
Well, KT, you've been saying for years now, with regard to Russia, that as soon as we stop buying oil and gas from them, they've got no ability to wage war. And when you step back for a moment and you recognize that Western Europe has been bankrolling this, I mean, basically, Western nations, between Western Europe enabling Russia by purchasing natural gas and oil from them and thereby funding their war machine, and then eventually we here in the United States who have been providing arms and armaments for the Ukrainians to defend themselves, basically we in the West have been funding both sides of this war.
Yeah, and it's really hypocritical of the Europeans to be giving money to Russia, paying money to Russia for oil and natural gas, making Russia rich. Russia's using that money to attack Ukraine. And then the Europeans say, but America, you got to defend us.
Yeah, demanding
they are the problem.
Yeah.
They are the problem. The Europeans are the problem. The Europeans writ large. They've disarmed. They don't have a defense industry, a domestic defense industry anymore. They thought, well, America's always going to protect us. But anyway, the way we're going to deal with Russia is we're going to have trade. We're going to buy their oil and natural gas. And then they wouldn't dare attack anybody in Europe, right? Because they need our money. Little did those Europeans think, well, wait, if we don't buy Russian stuff, we've cut off every other avenue to energy. What are we going to do, especially with our Green New Deal, because we refuse to use our own fossil fuels, which is coal. No, it's the Europeans. The problem begins with them, and hopefully they solve the problem. As President Trump said, it's your neighborhood. You should be doing a lot more for the defense of yourselves, and if you care about Ukraine, the defense of Ukraine.
KT, real fast, it's been in the news, and I have been wanting to pick your brain about it. The president declaring that these Venezuelan gangs are a terrorist organization and then rounding up members of that terrorist organization who are in the country illegally and have criminal records. Venezuela won't take them back, which clearly tells you something about their disposition. So they've been sent to El Salvador through this bilateral agreement that the president and the White House made with the president of El Salvador. A judge is now trying to step in and determine, as far as you're concerned, from your experience in the National Security Advisor's office over multiple administrations, this isn't even a close call. The federal judge, do they have any business in stepping into something like this?
No. These are the most primary responsibility of the president is he defends the nation against foreign aggression. And that's what this is. And they're even in the citation that they used to deport them, that the Trump administration used, they referenced a direct order that the Venezuelan government gave to this gang, the cartel group, the gang, to say, go into America and do bad stuff.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. All right, we got to leave it there. But given that this is like sort of, it's an act of war. I mean, we haven't declared war, and there's no war with Venezuela, but it is appropriate and right from a national security perspective to determine that this is an act of war, and therefore, as commander-in-chief, he has every right to do what they're doing. Yeah.
Look, these guys were not wearing Venezuelan uniforms,
right?
But they were sent by the Venezuelan government.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. KT McFarland, always good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks, KT.
It's a pleasure. Thank you both.
It is 8:16. We better get straight to Jamie Whitney. She's in the Hadid carpet cleaning.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
We stand behind no other morning show in our fascination with drag queen performers. And I have nothing to follow up there with that. I was hoping you would bail me out, Julie, with something. There was some sort of state Senate hearing down in Tallahassee, Florida. This is the Government Oversight and Accountability Committee. They were talking about a Senate bill, which would strip most DEI funding in the state of Florida. And I guess the proponents of DEI decided that the best way to make their case was to have dudes dressed up in atrocious makeup and out of clownish costumes pretending to be women, because this is why we need DEI funding in the state of Florida, to make sure that the drag queens can do their thing, which I'm no political genius, but I don't think that's the best message to send. So
they're so bad at this.
Yes.
They're so bad at it. Let's appeal to persuadable people. People that are, sort of on the fence about this. I know. Let's deploy drag queens.
Well, here's what happened when State Senator Randy Fine was confronted with the first drag queen.
Your name?
Hi, Randy. I believe you know me. I'm Erica Peace.
I have no idea who you are. So, Erica.
Pageantry.
Erica PC.
Drag,
Is that PC's your legal name? We have to put it in here.
Yes.
That's your legal name? Okay.
Thank you.
Erica PC, you're recognized.
Yeah. So I am from Tampa, Florida. I'm here to school you again.
All right, you're done. Let's go next.
Really?
Yep. Come on, next.
Oh.
Come on, let's go. Whoever. Got a lot to do. No time for nonsense.
That is how you do it.
So great.
That is exactly how you do it.
Great.
So then up comes the next one, named Lilith Black, wearing a top hat and makeup that can only be described as, it's like Nancy Pelosi on a bad morning, let's say. Yeah.
With a beard.
I'm speaking out against this bill.
What's your name?
My name is Lilith.
Let me just make sure I get here. Lilith Black, you're recognized.
I'm speaking out against this bill because of my extensive experience in the medical field. I have seen how DEI initiatives directly...
I demand to be taken seriously.
Honestly, he looks like something sort of out of The Hobbit, but... the village
Tolkien
fool,
is
very
turning in his grave as you say that. Yes,
right.
no, it is. I guess you could say like from a Renaissance festival from hell.
Yeah, maybe that's better.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead, Lilith, and your
With
extensive
your vast
medical
experience.
Affect both patient and worker lives. DEI initiatives improve worker longevity, improve upward mobility. They are not just providing a space for people to get jobs from who you seem to think are superior.
What?
Oh, my God.
All right. So that's, again, we applaud Randy Fine, State Senator of Florida, for taking this head on.
Not taking.
As it were. Well, yeah, not taking it. That said, up in Wisconsin, Oshkosh in particular, not quite as sublime. In fact, quite the opposite. This was a committee meeting of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee talking about taxpayer-funded City of Oshkosh drag queen performances. Listen to this.
I know last year it was a waiting line to even get in. Like, it was really well attended. Couldn't ask for a bit more beautiful day. And I'm expecting wonderful days this summer as well.
Yeah, it was really fun last year. And my, at the time, 3-year-old had such a good time tipping the drag queens and the other drag performers. He kept going, so pretty, and like holding out the dollars. He was so excited. So
my 3-year-old thought the drag queens were so pretty.
So what they were talking about was having another Pride Day, correct?
And a drag queen performers.
A drag queen performers.
To tip.
And this mother, with all her tattoos and her purple hair, is talking about how her 3-year-old loved tipping the drag queen dancers.
Yes.
These people, I mean, this is a sickness.
I hope that family is getting a visit from Child Protective Services.
Yeah,
because there's something
absolutely.
going on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's grotesque. It truly is grotesque. But I play this to tell you, yes, we are winning lots of fights, and Florida looks great, and that meeting was great. But this is so insidious, and it continues in our. And it's not, you win the White House, that makes a big difference. Lots of executive orders, but in your city council, in your school boards, this is the conversation going on with your tax dollars and about your children. Yes. This fight continues, and I've said it before, what happens in your house is more important than what happens in the White House. Don't feel like it's over and we're just winning and we can't take enough winning. No, we got to stay on these people. I mean, just walk down the halls of Fairfax County High School, and you'll see exactly what's going on as the ABCs are displayed for all to see. It's 8:23.
Making sense of your world.
Thank you for what you do.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
You give me hope.
Making sense of the news. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It is 8:36. It's O'Connor and Company on this first day of spring, first day of the NCAA tournament, the Cherry Blossom Festival. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Julie, I mean, there's no gentle way to put this, but I don't want to alarm anyone, but we are currently experiencing stage 3 blossom in Washington, D.C.
There are stages, that's right.
Yeah, and it's incurable. There's no, I'm sorry. It's a chronic case of cherry blossoms, and stage 3 is not something to toy around with.
Stage 3 is the very, I'm sorry. We should talk to somebody.
Yeah, let's bring in the expert.
Yes,
Diana Mayhew. She's the executive director of the National Cherry Blossom Festival, which begins today. It's busy season for you, so we appreciate you carving some time out for us. But can you explain, is there any recovering from stage 3 cherry blossoms?
It's only moving forward from here. It's just
it's going to get worse.
Super exciting.
All right. What is stage 3? This is when they sort of where they emerge, like they grow out of the little pod they've been in, right?
Right. It's technically, I don't want to even start to try to attempt that. Stage 3, and then we are halfway there. So the prediction of the National Park Service, where the peak bloom between the 28th and 31st is still really close to that. Now that means, again, the blossoms bloom several days before and several days after, depending on the weather and how long they can stay on. So we have a lot to look forward to blossoms this spring.
Very cool. Now, everyone does. It's funny. I like to say that Washingtonians sort of have a love-hate relationship with the Cherry Blossom Festival. We love it. We love it. We love it. But we get a little freaked out by the crowds and the traffic and the parking and all the problems. But it's funny because it was like, oh gosh, it's just so terrible. I was down there for 12 hours. It's like we this restaurant is so bad and the portions are so small. So people love going to the Cherry Blossom Festival. What's different this year, if anything, from festivals in the past?
So every year we try to make it new and different. Although we have our traditional events, of course, we still have a lot of fun collaborations. And we kick off, actually today is kind of fun and new, working with Guest Services. They're doing a Stumpy's pedal and paddle boat race down on the tidal basin. So we're kicking off that way with our great partners, and they are donating. There's a small entry fee. They're donating portion of that the fee to the Trust National Mall Cherry Tree Fund. So that's new and fun. In the festival, again, opening to this weekend at the tidal basin is the welcome area with the National Park Service, and where we present more than 100 performances for 16 days. That stage and that area is open for 16 days. So go ahead.
Diana, can you remind people of Stumpy? I love this story. And I don't remember. Stumpy, I think Stumpy was moved.
Stumpy is no more.
Is Stumpy gone?
Stumpy's gone.
Well, Stumpy, as everybody knows, Stumpy is gone. But there are probably at least 10 other Stumpy cherry trees down there.
Didn't they save a part of Stumpy? Like a little, didn't they?
No, Stumpy got mulched.
Well, they did graft before Stumpy got mulched. They did graft. The National Park Service has little seedlings that are starting now.
Okay.
Good.
But the story here with those cherry blossoms are that they need to be cared for and they need to be treated really well. So we're hoping when people come down there, they don't climb on those trees. But if you do go down there, you'll see there's probably another 10 other trees that are very related and look like Stumpy. So we can love them all.
Okay, so Stumpy lives on. I'm not going to be fatalistic like Larry. Stumpy's gone. No, Stumpy's lives on. Diana, I have a question. Many years we hear about the roots of the cherry trees being trampled and the weight of so many tourists climbing or not climbing on the trees, but walking where on the ground around where the trees are planted. What is the status of the trees? The health of the trees? Are they doing okay?
Yeah, and thank goodness for the Park Service who care about them year round. But they do need to be cared for. So with maintenance, and there are trees that are being replaced right now with the improvements down at the tidal basin and around the Jefferson and all the seawall that will help reduce that flooding or hopefully eliminate the flooding, and that will help protect the trees longer. But everybody should take a personal role. This is my 25th year with the National Cherry Blossom Festival, and my wish to everyone is that they would just chip in $10 for anybody who's ever viewed them or seen them. There is a cherry tree endowment that the Trust for the National Mall manages. If you go to bloomcam.org/NCBF25 and just give a few dollars, that endowment could help those trees be cared for many, many years.
I mean, I can barely care for my own trees in my yard, but sure. I mean, why not? Your trees are nicer.
So many people go down in the morning, really early in the morning, to be the sunrisers. Yeah. There are people that jog and walk, take their dogs, or even have gotten married or engaged under the tree.
Me.
So we challenge you all. That's right. So $10, or whatever.
There you go.
Whatever moves you.
In honor of Julie's very happy marriage, we will see if we can get that.
Yeah, there you
and
go.
her growing family. Yeah.
Stop it, Larry. Don't get Diana.
Thank you, Diana. Congratulations.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you. But join us for 4 weeks. NationalCherryBlossomFestival.org. There's so many things to do.
Are you wearing pink right now, Diana?
Of course.
I knew it. I could tell.
It is the season. I was on the paddle boats at 6:30 this morning.
No way.
Good for you.
Except my life jacket was red, not pink. So.
Look out for the goose poop, though, down there, I got to say. That's one of the problems with the tidal basin. All right, take care. It's 8:43.
Thanks, Diana.
WMAL, making sense of the roads, because traffic doesn't always follow the pattern. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
It is 8:50. It's O'Connor and Company. Chris Plant coming up here. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock, who is, thank you for being such a trooper today. Usually you don't do Thursday shows, so that was hard. And you've been feeling unwell all morning long, and we appreciate that. It's
thank you.
It's morning, and you have sickness, and that's not good to have the morning sickness. It's bad.
Well, Larry, you just had to get it in one more time. You were horrible. I am not pregnant, to everyone listening.
I did not say you were pregnant. I said that you had morning sickness. That's all.
You have been all morning. It's fine. I'm going to kill you later. Anyway, what are we going to talk about this
Tina Fey has a podcast because you know what? There just aren't enough podcasts out there. I say it all the time. It takes a special kind of talent to have a podcast. I mean, you got to have a voice, and you need to be able to speak, and
that's it.
That's pretty much it, yeah. So Tina Fey has Amy Poehler on the Good Hang podcast, and, well, take a listen.
If I'm safe and I have enough money to live, I have a problem with rich people having a side hustle.
You know, like a podcast?
Yeah.
What the? She listened to herself? Okay, I'm sure that there's no advertisements and she's not getting paid for this. Okay, rich person, Tina Fey.
Right.
Yeah. You mean like a podcast or something? No, that's just you're doing work. I'm saying if you sold like, where would my line be for you? Where would I draw the line?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like if I had a rosé.
If you
know what I mean?
If you already have like $200 million and you're like, also I need you to.
But Tina, this is where you have to learn from Gen Z. I'm sorry, and we have to.
Is there any coherent thought in this entire thing?
Why do people listen to this?
This is going to be
honestly?
a great podcast. It's just two friends sit down, have a conversation. I hate to break it to people. That's actually usually a pretty boring thing.
You know what's interesting, too, is that fewer and fewer young people actually have conversations. They listen to conversations.
True.
They listen to these podcasts, but no one has these conversations anymore, like just sitting down and talking. It's happening less and less.
Yep. By the way, this is a good reminder. Make sure you subscribe to and download our podcast. It's 8:52. All right, that's a wrap, Julie Gunlock. Thank you for being here. Patrice Onwuka tomorrow. And I did it. I did the whole 4-hour show with a hangover. And it's your fault, young man.
And now I'm here to take over so that it'll be a 7-hour hangover in the studio today. I can assure you of that. I at home, I was saying, I think I may never have another drink again.
Yeah. Well,
I don't want to go around. Sounds like you're bragging or something, but
we're sharing with everyone that you and I we had a nice time with our wives last night.
We did
talking into the wee hours with a little adult beverage.
Yeah, I thought going out and racing the cars around the city was a mistake too.
Well, I mean, racing is one.
We didn't really do that. We did that. So I just made that up. That's just good. We got a lot going on. Education or edumacation, as they call it in Baltimore, and we've got a lot.